You have two beings that beat inside your breast. One is vile, the other is blessed. One you love, one you hate. The one you feed will dominate.
Well, it's time for a change now.
No hesitation. Tune in, yo. Ace's motivation. It's all about your will. When your enemy is weak, go for the kill.
Welcome to Shotcast episode 13. Today we are here. Happy New Year's. It is the first of the year. A new decade, big fella. You were talking about that last time.
Yeah, it's crazy. Happy New Year to you, man.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you too. Hopefully everybody enjoyed their New Year's out there. Today we're here to talk to you in the Shotcast about judgment. You know, being judgment free. Or the opposite of that, judging folks and what that could do for you in your life. So we're just here to simply talk about judging. I thought it was a very relevant topic. I'm running into a lot of situations, some drama, some not. But they're all based off, people judging other people and making, massive predictions about their life and acquisitions that I don't really know if they're accurate or not, but they seem like judgments based off small things that I don't think are right. So I wanted to talk about that with you today. Everything that you think you are right now is based off your past, and the past you were kind of thrown into. So a lot of times in life, you'll hear people say things like, I came from out of the country, or my dad was a Marine, or my parents were never there for me, or so-and-so passed, or so-and-so was split up, or you hear all these different things about the past, and that's not the thing that causes the issue or causes a lack of growth for you. The thing that causes a lack of growth is what you say after that. My dad was a Marine, so he was never around as much. My parents were split, so I never got love. I came from out of the country, so I had to work hard. And these are the kind of things that start, organically growing into other things, and they start shaping the way you talk about everything in your life and the way you do things in your life. Another example is like saying, work's a struggle. Work's a struggle, man. It's a big struggle. Work's a struggle. Mm-hmm. Even in the future, if work's not a struggle anymore, I'm still going to say work's a struggle because that's not what my mind believes is my perception. So all these things connect. And if you're wondering how this connects to judging, because sometimes now that I understand that when we judge people, people are not acting like this for no reason at all. Someone doesn't wake up and just act like an asshole. Somebody doesn't wake up and say, I'm going to lie today. Somebody doesn't wake up and say, I'm going to be disloyal today. I think all these things about people and judging people is based off their past. What's that person's past? How did they come up? Why do they think the way they think? Why do they act the way they act? It's not like they're just making a conscious decision. And that caused me now to be more empathetic towards humans because every human has their roller coaster and you really don't know what every human went through. So now I'm really just I'm on a journey to understand people before judging anybody. Kind of like Planet Fitness, keep it judgment-free zone, but not Planet Fitness because they actually called out the Peloton. And I have the Peloton. And how are you going to be a judgment-free zone but make a commercial ripping on the Peloton and then saying come to Planet Fitness? So I'm not a fan of theirs anymore, but kind of the same slogan, judgment-free.
It's good, man. It's an interesting topic. I think it's a dangerous place to be. I think I got lucky. My mom raised me without much judgment at all. And I got lucky for it. And I know we don't all get to grow up in households like that. A lot of times you're at least somewhat of a product of your environment. You may not be totally a product of your environment, but you're going to learn some things, and that is usually based on the people that raise us. And so I think I got lucky, and I think less stress is in my world, in my life, because I try not to judge. Now listen, let's just be real. I'm a human being. So are you. We judge things. Everybody's going to judge some things. I might judge whether a situation might be dangerous or not, and I don't walk down that alley. So judgment is a healthy part of life. I think what Ace is talking about is when that's the first place that you go, or that's the more often place that you go. Because after a while, you talked about judging whether somebody is lying or not, or some of those things. And yeah, we get our spidey senses up sometimes. But when judgment is the first place you go, every time you hear something, you'll start to judge things that aren't somebody lying, that isn't somebody just might be doing the right thing, but our first place to go is to judgment. And so we're going to make that a negative situation sometimes. It's just interesting, and it's just a dangerous place to be in. And I truly believe that it creates a life of its own. So when I judge a lot, what am I going to be on the lookout for? I'm going to be on the lookout for somebody judging me. It's just the world that I chose to be in. And so now when somebody comes up to give me feedback or some advice that really might help me, first thing I'm going to do is be defensive about it. Because I know you're just judging me. You're not really trying to help me. You're just judging me because guess what? That's what I do. And so you get in this cycle, man, it just becomes difficult. And nobody's perfect, nor am I. I definitely judge some things. I've misjudged some things. But I try to pay attention to it because I think the real value is when somebody might be going through a struggle or somebody's different than you. The real silver lining and all that, not silver lining, but the important part of all of that is I might be able to get to learn something if I study the situation or if I see if I can get involved some way, as opposed to saying that person's different than me or I don't like what that person's doing. Because at the end of the day, it's a selfish spot to be in. If I'm going to judge you, and this is, I'm not even saying selfish is a bad thing sometimes. I remember my daughter got mad at me because I called her selfish, and I wasn't trying to say it was a bad thing. It just means at that particular moment, her mind and thought were on herself. That's all that it means, right? And so when you judge something, you're talking about how you feel and about what your opinion is. And many times that's fine. But sometimes people don't want to hear what the hell you're talking about. Sometimes the best advice is just to listen and take it in, and heaven forbid you might be able to learn something.
Yeah, and you're saying like if you approach it differently, that could connect to a whole bunch of other things instead of 100%. Going straight to judging, which I agree with. And that's the whole thing. I wasn't talking about judging situations in particular. I was just talking about judging humans. Yeah. Judging humans on the way they act, the things they say, holding grudges, creating, bad reputations for people, gossiping about people. I think all of this is in the bad cloud of judgment, which I believe causes or has no value at all to anybody. And just picture this, picture two different, situations, similar but different. Let's say, and this happened before, right? It's happened probably to everybody out there, but let's say somebody lied to me, okay? Situation A. One of my friends lied to me about something, okay?
Okay.
They lied to me about something. In this situation, I'm a judgmental person. So the first instinct I have in my head is this guy's a piece of shit liar. And then I go to my friends, this guy's a liar. You believe this guy lied to me about A, B, and C? And then I go to my wife, this guy lied to me about A, B, and C. And then I tell him he's a liar, maybe I call him out on it. Maybe it spoils our friendship. We don't talk anymore. And this person's a liar lives with me forever. And then the next time somebody almost lies to me or I feel like lying to me, this guy's a liar just like that guy. And then that starts connecting, right? And now I think everybody's a liar, and now I'm out to get liars. And that's like, I'm like a lie detector test now because I want to figure out everyone's a liar because this is a judgment lane that I started in my life. Now picture that same exact scenario where somebody lied to me, and I just ask a simple question. Yo, how come you lied about that? I'm just trying to understand better, I'm not mad at you, just how come you lied about that? And imagine what that one answer could tell me about that individual. Whether it's, hey, I was just a little nervous to tell you the truth. Hey, I didn't want to get you upset. Like, hey, I didn't want to get you upset means like maybe this person was raised with getting somebody upset and they have vulnerability towards getting somebody upset, and that's something that they're not comfortable doing. And that's why they're lying. Like, it could connect to a whole nother thing. So I believe everything that somebody says and everything that somebody do connects to the way they were raised. And they're not doing it just to be selfish and do it. Maybe there's a one-offs, where just people want to be pure evil and have bad intentions. I don't believe that to all humans, I'm very empathetic towards humans. Think about the shit you've been through. Think about the shit I've been through. Think about the shit you went through, How much shit do you go through on a week-to-week basis? How many times do you almost want to break down? How many walls do you got to break through, family, relationship, work? So many things we go through, humans. You can't judge a human just off one simple thing. So again, picture this other individual where I don't get mad, I ask questions, I understand, and then I move away and I learn. Instead of getting upset, I learn to move on. So maybe the next time I ask this person for advice, I'm going to keep it in the back of my mind that he lies, but I'm still going to keep him as an acquaintance because I can still learn from him and I can still grow from him and I could still move forward instead of having an enemy and creating a bad reputation and bad connections. Why don't I learn and understand why this person acts the way they do? Either try to make an impact with them or just simply understand them and utilize them in my future.
Listen, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think it's a great point you bring up. I think the impact word is really what has me thinking as you're talking. And so You're right. Everything you said was 100% right. And many of us choose the wrong path to go down because we're judgmental, right? It's not my fault. It's their fault. I didn't lie. They lied. But think of the gift you could give somebody. Think of that person that just lied. By the way, people do not like to lie. Nobody wakes up and says, how many lies can I tell today? It's not a thing. So when somebody's in a spot where they have to lie, they're not in a good spot, right? So that question that you ask of why'd you lie to me? Why'd you lie to me about that? Man, it stops the next lie and the next lie and the next lie. Because once you start, man, you 4 lies deep before you even know it, and you can't see your way out. But by you asking that question, man, it's going to stop them in their tracks.
Yeah.
Then they're probably going to, the next thing out of their mouth is probably going to be the truth. If they're a true friend, it'll be the truth. So you stopped a person going down a path of bad behavior by simply asking a question, because now they went from lying to telling the truth, and probably I'm sorry, and this is why I did it. So now you understand, and maybe you're disappointed in them, but it's not, you're going to write them off.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're not even going to say they're a liar. They just needed to get out of a situation. They knew you were close and your boy, and so they did it. Now, because you asked that question and they owned it and they apologized, you know what probably is not going to happen again? Probably not going to lie to you again.
Yeah, and if they do, they'd
Such a
probably tell you.
gift.
Yeah. And, I'm not a fan of the path of least resistance when it comes to goals and success, It's usually the path that humans choose, hitting the couch instead of hitting the gym, or, getting off work early instead of staying late. You choose a path that's the easiest. But in this particular shot cast about judging, I am 100% with the path of least resistance, meaning instead of calling somebody out for doing something wrong and starting reputations and building an enemy, no, I'm not going to go through that path of a bunch of negative resistance. I'd rather go through the path of trying to understand that person, making an impact on that person, utilizing that person, and the path of least negative resistance. And that's a path that I believe in this particular situation. And the reason I talk about this is because I've been encountering people in my life where breaking relationships. I've seen siblings break relationships. I've seen cousins. I've seen friends. I've seen relationships end, all based off this person's a cheater. This person's a liar. This person wants to sabotage me. This person's selfish. These are the kind of things I'm hearing. And there is no second or third question. There is no trying to understand. There's just that boom, judgment. You're done. You're cut off. There's a grudge held. You stop the growth for you and this person's relationship forever. You start gossiping. You create more enemies. The next person you meet that's kind of similar to this person, you start attaching the same emotions to them. And this causes just a world of fuckery, in my opinion.
Well said.
It does. It really does. What's the point? I mean, what's the point? What's the value? If you're going to cash in your chips, which one are you going to cash in? The world of hate and the lane of hating somebody and just going against that person, or the lane of understanding and utilizing this person?
Yeah, I think the cool part about going this route, and again, it's not easy. I think one of our first couple podcasts, I talked about a TED Talk that I had seen where it's easier to go to the negative than it is to the positive, right? And it's a real thing. And so that's where we go sometimes. And that's unfortunate because it is, I really do believe, a dangerous spot. But the cool part about it is what you can learn, right? So when you judge, there's pretty much nothing but anger, animosity, maybe some fear mixed up in there. There's no learning happening in that space. But when you forgive somebody or you ask them why and you get a chance to learn about them. Maybe they're going through a struggle that you were going through not too long ago. And heaven forbid you ever mess up and cross the line, because we all have. I wonder how you would want somebody to handle you in that situation. And I wish they would ask me why I did it, because I would own up to it and I'd probably be better for it and learn from it. And so I just think there's a tremendous amount of learning that can come in. And now listen, again, I go back to, we're human beings. I'm not saying that every time somebody walks down the street and they got a 70s jacket with bell bottoms on. Okay, man, sometimes we're gonna judge every once in a while. I'm not saying I'm holier than thou. I'm talking about the important stuff. I'm talking about when you're making decisions by that judgment. It could just be a dangerous place to live in. And I would encourage everybody out there to when you come across that situation, how can you add value or how can you help? as opposed to this MFer did this to me and I can't believe it and my feelings are hurt. Take you out of it for a second. You're tough. You're battle tested. You've been through some things. You can handle this particular conversation no matter what happens. See how you can add value as opposed to going to judgment. And I bet you at the end of the day, you'll be happier for it because it's just a weight that you don't need around your neck. If you judge somebody, you got to think about it later that night. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm laying in bed. I judged somebody. I can't. Should I have? No, forget. You have this conversation. Yeah. Man, that could be deaded 8 hours ago, and now you're just talking to your significant other in bed as opposed to thinking about this horrible conversation that happens and how am I going to handle it tomorrow and what if somebody else. Just a spiral that goes out of control at some point.
And even to go over, back to the laws of power, like it states in there, like utilize people's strengths, and understand their weaknesses. So, utilize those things and understand people for them and try to make people better through them instead of taking the opposite route. And I'm not here to tell you that I've never judged before. I've judged. I've judged before, and it's actually ruined me, and it's almost ruined my career. And I'll tell you a quick story. I had a leader, right, that was, I felt like it was a new leader. I was separated with my old leader after a while. Had a new leader that I never worked with before. And we got off on a bumpy start where I felt like this leader was out to get me. I felt like every single day questioning my integrity, double checking everything that I was asked to do. And in my head, I'm saying, like, this person doesn't trust me. This person just wants to make my day miserable. This person wants to make my life hell. This person adds no value to me. And this person probably has never, had love, been a good leader in their life. And I started judging that person based off the way that they were treating me and the way I felt. And that almost turned into a sabotage of my career where I wasn't performing anymore in my career. The way I talked to my team was different. The way I got up in the morning was different. My attitude was different. My performance everything was affected by the way I felt and the way I judged my leader, right? Because how are you going to perform good if you're not, aligned with your leader? And then I had a one-on-one with my leader. And in this one-on-one, it was all gloves off the record. Here's what I want to explain to you, okay? And my leader straight up told me the way he was raised, his childhood, what happened in his life, the times he's been screwed over, and how he's been screwed over. And in my head, I said, man, it's really not a bad person. I'm like, God damn, they've been through a lot of things. Now I understand why they come up to me and ask me again and they verify. Now I understand why they give me that look sometimes, because this person went through a lot of adversity in their life, and this has shaped the way they act today. And I started understanding that, and that changed our relationship completely, because now I was proactive about making sure that I was on top of the things I needed to be on top of. I was proactive about making sure that this person felt loyal with me. I was proactive about this person trusting me with doing things. And our relationship went to a whole nother level because we understood each other. But that only happened because that person explained to me the way they came up, the way their past was. They shared their scars with me. They shared the way they were, and everything connected to the way they're acting today. So how are you ever going to judge somebody based off one thing they do when you know nothing about them and where they've been and where they came from? It's the same thing with animals, man. Take it back. You see a dog that's vicious, that's trying to bite your head off. Where's that dog been for the last 10 years or 5 years?
Who knows?
They've been in a yard, barely fed. They've been fighting, whatever it is. They haven't had love and care. You see a dog that comes up that wants to play, that sits down, that's sheltered, like, this dog's been taken care of. And we're the same thing, we're like animals. I mean, you could tell somebody how they live right now and how they act right now is based off their past and what they've been through. And that's what I truly believe. So now that I understand that, the shot that I'm giving you now is just pretty much make sure that anybody you talk to or anybody that you're about to judge, instead of judging, try to understand where they came from, where they've been, why they think the way they think, why they did this certain action, and utilize that to your advantage to, help you both move forward in the future instead of burning a bridge. I always tell my team in sales, never burn a bridge. Never burn a bridge. Why burn a bridge? Yeah.
Emotion?
Yeah, it's emotion that's gonna end up impacting you negatively, because if you never burn a bridge, you always have people to go to.
No, it's interesting. If I ask you a question, if I asked you, what is the job in the normal trial setting that we all know of, jury duty and all that stuff, what is the judge's job? If I ask you that question, and I bet I get a few different answers, but I bet some people, maybe even a lot of people, would tell me, is to judge the case. Well, is it really the judge's job to judge a case? I don't think so. I think that's why we bring us in. We got to sit in a room and jury duty and get chosen on a trial and whatever. Those are the folks that are judging whether a crime was committed or not. The judge is to keep law and order, to make sure that the law is being followed, to make sure everybody's safe in the courtroom because it can get hairy, that kind of thing. So even the person that has the judge in their name doesn't really do the judging. So just an odd fact. May not mean a thing. Just something I stumbled upon as I was looking things up. So, man.
If a judge don't even judge, who the hell are we to judge?
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
So I'll leave you with this. I'll leave you with my shot, and it's a quick one. It's just a quote that I was told, 17 years ago, and I memorized it right away because I thought it was one of the most powerful quotes that I've ever heard. And the quote is this: "You have two beings that beat inside your breast. One is vile, the other is blessed. One you love, one you hate. The one you feed will dominate." And I think this judgment side of things it just depends on what you want to feed. And if you feed that judgment and continue to make judgment, that's the being that you're feeding, and that's what you become, right? What you focus on, you find. So as you're going throughout your day, and you got hopefully crazy goals and awesome goals that you put together as we start this new year, my hope is, and when you find yourself getting ready to judge somebody, ask, how can I help? How can I make an impact before you go down the other side of things, or how you can learn something, or some of the things that Ace talked about. So that's my shot. Happy 2020, everybody.
Yeah, my shot again was just ask a question. Before judging, ask a second. Just ask why. Why do you feel that way? Why did you do that? Why did you lie? Ask why. And really pick that person's brain and understand that person, then utilize it to your advantage instead of making it a weakness of yours and making it a rivalry. If your past, think about your past and the things you say about how you came up, and think about the way you are today. And if you haven't dropped that past yet, it's okay to understand your past. Just don't live off your past forever. It's okay to say, this is the way I came up, but it's time to make a change, and this is the way I'm going to be from here on out today. And it's time to make that change. 2020, Shotcast 13 in the books. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great new year.
No hesitation. Tune in, yo. Ace's motivation. It's all about your will. When your enemy is weak, go for the kill.